The Melon Man gets it done. Kyle Busch is oh so close, but once again, no cigar. And we got another DVP controversy, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Ross Chastain gets win number 5. All of those happening within a 3-year span, and that puts him on the list with Ward Burton, Austin Dillon, Dan Gurney, Alan Kawicki, Tiny Lund, Dave Marcus, Jeremy Mayfield, and Ralph Moody. So currently tied for 79, and who knew Dan Gurney had 5 wins? That's pretty cool. Didn't know he had that many in the Cup Series. But I said in his last 3 years, and if you look at his 3 years with Trackhouse, he didn't make the playoff this year, but 19 top 10s, 2 wins the first year, 14 top 10s, 2 wins the second year, 12 top 10s so far this year, and now 1 win. Although he's not in the playoffs, he is having a very, very good season, consistent with those other seasons he's had with Trackhouse. And if he had been in the playoffs, he would be one of the drivers to be looking at right now. Unfortunately, not in the playoffs. So this hot streak, while impressive, doesn't necessarily help him out in the playoffs, and it is also kind of a weird situation for Trackhouse because it doesn't seem like all positive momentum, because you see his teammate Daniel Suarez is not running and doesn't have at least the same pace that Ross Chastain seems to have. Now, Suarez did recover in this race to get a nice finish, but he didn't have nearly the pace that the one car had, and this is the second race in a row, at least, that he has not had the same pace as the one car, so you have to kind of be concerned if you're Trackhouse that you've got one car out there that is really outperforming, especially in the playoffs, the car that you do have in the playoffs in the 99 at this particular juncture. Also, not for nothing, Ty Norris just left to go to college, so although this should be a mostly positive story for Trackhouse, you do have to factor in, are there some things going on sort of behind the scenes as to why the 99 might not be running as good as it's running, and are there some things going on behind the scenes, of course, in the upper management? But either way, great day and great run for Ross Chastain. Hopefully, it does trickle down to the 99 for his playoff run. Which brings us to our top 10. Ross Chastain, of course, winning the race, so good race for him. William Byron gets the second place finish. He had pace throughout this race, but it looked like in the second stage or whatever, he sort of lost some of that pace, but gained it back for the third stage. So he made a valiant effort there at the very end to try to put some pressure on Ross Chastain. Martin Truex Jr. finishes third, so good run for him. Hopefully he can get a win in his final season. He's edging ever so close to it. Ryan Blaney, another good run for him. And Ty Gibbs, a good run for him as well. Alex Bowman constantly on the hot seat with a 6th place finish. Christopher Bell in 7th here. And sort of an uneven day for the 20 car there. He ran good. He led the most laps. He got all the stage points that you can get, but he couldn't seal the deal. So if he wants to win the championship, and he is one of my favorites to win the championship, he's going to have to pick up that performance and get the consistency for the last stage. We got to stop worrying about the first 2 stages because the final race, the last stage, is going to be what matters. Denny Hamlin here with an 8th place finish. Chase Elliott, who started shotgun on the field, finishing in 9th place. And Zane Smith outrunning both of his teammates here to finish in 10th in the 71 car. 11 through 15 is going to be Chris Buescher. Austin Dillon with a nice run here, finishing in 12th. His teammate had a chance to win, and we're going to touch on that in just a minute. Daniel Suarez in 13th and Joey Logano 14th. Corey LaJoie 15th. So if you're keeping track at home as it stands right now, Corey LaJoie is 1 up on Spire versus Justin Haley, however you want to score that situation. So right now, the ball is in Corey LaJoie's court. He is up 1-0. So that was a good race. Now let's get to the bad race. And you see here, Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley, neither one of them got the good finish that their teammate did there in the top 10. Austin Cindric, playoff driver, 34th. That's not good for him. Terrible day for him, so he's going to really need something to happen here at Talladega, but we know he's a good plate racer with that Daytona 500 win. And then here at the very bottom is what I want to talk about next, Josh Berry. Josh Berry got wrecked pretty early on in this event, and he had 4 flat tires, and according to Rodney Childers, that was all that was wrong with the race car, but NASCAR still made him put the window net down and took it to the garage, effectively ending his day. Well, Rodney Childers said it was just 4 flat tires, and in the past, you've taken him to pit road, and we put the 4 tires on and continued with the race, and that's what he thought was going to happen, but he did have this to say. I've seen a lot of things over my 25 years in the Cup Series, but that's the most screwed up thing I've ever seen or been involved with. All we needed was tires with air in them. And how many times have we drug cars to the pit stall to put tires on them? Why today? So once again, the DVP is coming into question. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, it was Ryan Blaney who thought they should have been able to have a chance to fix the car, even though it had 4 tires and possibly a steering issue, why they couldn't get the tow. Obviously, letter of the law, NASCAR wasn't wrong there, but it looks like this is a different situation where letter of the law, NASCAR is wrong in this case. Because according to Rodney Childers, there was no crash damage. It was only 4 flat tires. So it looks like from Rodney Childers here that NASCAR missed this one and missed it big. And it cost Josh Berry an opportunity to have a decent race. I don't know what, if anything, will come from this. I don't know how NASCAR can even make it right. But hopefully in the offseason, NASCAR will at least take a look at the damaged vehicle policy and either just completely get rid of it because it's unnecessary, because really all they're worried about is cars coming out there for possible retaliation, which, okay, if you're going to stop them from retaliating in a race, they could just do it the next race. So you're not really accomplishing, in my opinion, too much there. I know different opinions exist on that. And the other thing they're trying to avoid is cautions for debris. And you easily get rid of that situation by, just having a NASCAR official there to say, hey, look, this car looks good. It can go back out on track or not. And if it's not good enough, it doesn't go back out on track. So you don't need a timer or a vehicle policy on that. You just need a NASCAR official that says, okay, this car is good enough to go back on track. You've repaired it up to spec and it can go back on track, or it can't. That's really all there needs to be done about it. So hopefully NASCAR uses some common sense and does that in the future. Especially with the playoffs, you've got these 3 race intervals and every point counts. So with this playoff format, especially, that does need to be looked at. Another controversy in this race that is kind of a product of the playoffs, depending on how you look at it, was Chase Briscoe versus Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch had the lead. Kyle Busch had a nice solid lead. Chase Briscoe needed to stay on the lead lap because of the playoffs. Ross Chastain was doing his job as the second place man, putting maximum pressure on Kyle Busch, where Kyle Busch knew it was a tough pass on the 14 because of the playoff deal. And when it came time to make that pass, Chase Briscoe gave him a groove at the top, but it was a very small groove at the top. Kyle Busch gassed up too early or whatever, however you want to look at it, and he ended up costing him his race. Not only that, but it cost him his streak of winning a race in every single season since he's basically been in the Cup Series. And I did in the live stream post the question, was it fair? Was it fair, but I didn't like it? Was it a creation of the playoffs, and that's the only reason it happened? And we did that poll question, and the vast majority of people said it was fair. Or it was fair and they didn't like it. So I think it's one of these situations, and I'll compare it to this. Chase Briscoe didn't do anything illegal. Much like if you get cut off in traffic, that person didn't do anything illegal. If somebody pulls out in front of you and doesn't speed up or at least match your speed, they didn't do anything illegal. But you don't have to like it. And I'm pretty sure Kyle Busch didn't like it. He knows Chase Briscoe didn't do anything wrong. He knows it's a racing deal. And he knows it's probably an unintended consequence of the playoffs that Chase Briscoe was basically forced to drive that way. But I doubt very much he likes it. I know he didn't blame Chase Briscoe in the interview, but I promise you and I guarantee you, I doubt very much that he likes it. So it will be something to keep an eye on going forward. So yeah, Chase Briscoe didn't do necessarily anything wrong. But because of his history, a lot of people aren't going to cut him any slack. As evidenced here from Matt Weaver listening in to the 77's radio communication, that would be Hocevar when he was in that wreck, and he blamed it on Chase Briscoe, and he said, I didn't hit anything, Chase Briscoe just effing sucks. He did the same thing to the 8. So Chase Briscoe continues to have that particular stigma of being overly aggressive attached to him, but hey, at the end of the day, you got to have overly aggressive drivers, you got to have drivers that are smooth. That's what makes the sport really fun. But bad race doesn't stop there, because playoff drivers Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe all finished 24th, 25th, and 26th respectively. So bad race for them, because the playoffs, that's not going to help them. Speaking of which, let's look at the playoff picture. Above the cut line, and your leader right now is going to be William Byron, followed by Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano. Denny Hamlin only plus 11, Kyle Larson only plus 18, and then of course plus 4 for Logano and Chase Elliott here. So they are nowhere near safe, and even though he won the regular season, he's kind of pulling a Martin Truex Jr. the way he won the regular season and then faded in the playoffs. Is Tyler Reddick in the 45 at -4 here. Daniel Suarez -14, Chase Briscoe -25, Austin Cindric -29. And with Talladega coming up, all of that can change on a dime. Speaking of points, let's take a look at the manufacturer's points after this because, well, nobody else acknowledges it, hardly. And I know a bunch of people in the comments care about it. So here is your manufacturer's standings. Chevrolet at 1094, 1053 for Toyota, who now takes over second place from Ford by 1 point. Ford in third place with 1052. So 41 points from Toyota, 42 points for Ford to get that top spot in the manufacturer battle. All right, that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll just keep making these things. If you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you all as well. If you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. The link is in the description. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.